My name is Anthony Smith, and I'm the Public Information Coordinator for Juvenile Court. On behalf of Juvenile Court, we'd like to welcome each of you for agreeing to participate today. We thank you for our panelists and our presenters, as we will be presenting the grant proposals for fiscal year 25 for the Community Partnership Fund solicitation. Just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. I'd like to ask all presenters and panelists and guests to silence or mute any cell phones because we are recording today. And our mayor's budget allocates $200,000 for community nonprofits to receive funding for their work in the community. And today we will hear presentations from our applicants. We will have 3 organizations presenting today. In the order in which they will come will be the Oasis Center, then STARS, and last will be Cafe Momentum. Each applicant will receive 15 minutes to present, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A, questions and answers after the presentation. If we follow our agenda, like I hope we will, we should be getting a break around 10:30 a.m. We ask each presenter to please introduce your organization and your team to the panel prior to presenting. Again, on behalf of Juvenile Court, we welcome you and thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lee Gray. I'm the Senior Director for Action, Advocacy, and Education for the Oasis Center. And I'm here with...
Hi, everybody. My name is Aaron Dockery, and I'm the Program Manager of the REAL program.
And I'm going to start out a little bit, telling you a little bit about Oasis Center. They have been in the Nashville community since 1969. It started as a safe place for runaways to come and connect with an adult that would listen, that would support, that would help them mediate whatever conflict was happening at home. If you look at us now, 50 plus years later, we have 24 programs that all focus on working with marginalized, vulnerable young people in our community. Everything from residential crisis and working with unhoused youth to the work we do with our brown and black young men and college access and counseling and all kinds of amazing things. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and let him tell you a little bit about the REAL program specifically.
Perfect. So the REAL program stands for Reaching Excellence as Leaders, and it is an 8-week diversion program that was started back in 2009 for young males of color aging from 13 to 18 years of age who are either at risk of entering into the juvenile courts or discharging from juvenile detention. So we are able to take these youth and work with them in the areas of prevention and reintegration back into their communities. Currently, the REAL program has 3 components. First being our community base, where we work in the after-school hours 2 days out of the week from 3:30 to 5:30, working with youth being discharged from juvenile detention, where we are able to focus in the areas of successfully reintegrating them back into their communities. Our second component is our in-school model, where we are able to lean on some of our community partnerships within the local MMPS high schools, where we're able to go in and mentor to some of those youth that are showing dysregulated behaviors within their classrooms, and we are able to focus in the areas of prevention with those youth. And lastly, our summer camp, we are able to work with some youth and focus in the areas of college connection and workforce development. Here at the Oasis Center, we like to focus on positive youth development, trauma-informed care, and evidence-based practices, where we like to, where we work with these youth, and in each division of the REAL program, we take a holistic approach where we are able to focus on weekly sessions, service learning and community service opportunities, family engagement and case management, college and career connection, group mentoring, and long-term program engagement and continuity of care. All of this is to try to reach our goals for career readiness with our youth by leaning on our community partners through family engagement, through our family retreats, also through a sense of belonging in their communities, as well as with their peers and improving positive self-identity.
Yeah, so the driving statement for our work is outlined in this box. As many of you know already, that our young black men are more than 5 times more likely to be detained or committed to youth facilities as their white counterparts. And some other statements that lead our work every day are, the disparities between black and white youth have remained consistently high. As of 2021, black youth are 4.7 times more likely to be placed in juvenile facilities as their white peers. And nationally, it is 74 per 100,000. And the rate for the black youth in that statistics are 228 per 100,000, compared to the youth white placement rate of 49 per 100,000. Tennessee, where we live, the black youth placement rate was 129, and compared to that of their white counterparts of 24. So this is what leads our work every day and what we are working to combat against. Some of the program funding needs is we want to provide evidence-based practices for youth to empower their strengths, skills, help them perform better in school, develop positive relationships, and avoid court involvement. We believe that the REAL program is a critical solution to that in our community. Aaron will share a little bit more about what the work looks like. And we're committed to ensuring that the REAL program remains at Oasis Center forever. Like we mentioned earlier, it's been with us since 2009, and it's going nowhere. Our funding model falls short by 28%, which is why we're here today. We need the funds from you to be able to provide the REAL program at its full impact level to our young people. So we're about 28% short, which is about $50,000, and that goes directly to support our staff doing the work on the ground and some of the operations that need to exist behind the work. We also, as we were asked to talk about how we promote community equity in the community. Every one of Oasis Center's 24 programs, this is a guiding principle. All of our young people are part of a marginalized, vulnerable group of youth that the systems in our community, the systems that they have to maneuver in every day, do not treat them equitably and do not provide them the same number of opportunities or access to opportunities as some others get to experience in their daily life. So some of the specific things we do at Oasis Center is build our programs specifically for young people that need support. We provide resources and opportunities to help them overcome barriers and injustices. We work with policymakers, advocate for rights, safety, health, and well-being. We focus on cultural competency and ongoing equity and inclusion training for all our staff. We have a DEI director that ensures that we're learning what we need to learn in a very relevant way and that it's being pushed into our programming models. Some really tangible ways that you could see how we're working to make the world more equitable or systems more equitable for the young men we work with. Through our work with post-secondary institutions, we are able to provide genuine access to learning opportunities, and also through our work with some of our community partners, really make connections to high-wage, high-demand career opportunities. The goal is to lay out a menu of options for our young men so that they could choose what the best fit for them is. And the way it impacts the community after that is, one, we're hoping to build financial stability for those young men and their families, right? We're hoping to give them, through their training and through the experiences they had, that they will be able to access a variety of work experiences so they can continue to grow and mature as professionals. And if we're improving their overall quality of life, that improves their immediate community that they may be living in their house, that improves the community around them, and the rings of improvement move out into the community as they are experiencing life and their lives differently than maybe they would have otherwise.
Perfect. So we believe community is important for our youth. So the REAL program rely on many partnerships. What you see on the board are some of our partnerships that we use more frequently, that we work directly with. Starting with the Davidson County Juvenile Courts, we work with 2 divisions over there, the DP2 program, who has an initiative to divert up to 70 to 75% of youth with petty crimes, where we can work with those youth in the areas of prevention. And the second is the GRIP Court, and this is the gang unit, and these are the youth that's discharging from juvenile detention and on probation. So we work with them to help reintegrate them out of the probation period and back into their communities. We have STARS, which is our neighboring organization, where they are able to help provide support in substance abuse treatment. Local colleges and universities, we like to work in a holistic approach, so we take them on many college tours just to show them different opportunities in their communities. Metro Parks and Recreations, we use these different parks to implement our play curriculum, which I'll talk a little bit about. So we will use, for example, we use Watkins Park out by our center. Econ Club, this is one of our partners that provides funding where we can show our youth different opportunities in arts and music and those type of fields. So we take our youth to African American Museum, different musical concerts, and to expose them to those types of things. The Metro Nashville Public Schools, where we are going in and mentoring to some of those youth. Currently, we are in Johnson Alternative Learning Center and Glencliff High School with preparation to move into Bass Alternative in the fall. Music City Construction Careers, we partner with a construction company that will onboard our youth after they graduate from the REAL program into their apprenticeship program and give them education and work in the areas of trade in the construction company, like plumbing, welding, electrical work, sheet metal work. Chop Nation is a barbershop that partnered with us where we have collaboration where we get all the youth in the program free barber kits with the whole 9. We partner them with a barber, and they get hands-on experience and mentorship in their experiences of how they became a barber, also mentorship in the importance of grooming yourself and self-image. And we take them into a barber college just to show them what's necessary in order to move in that employment field, if that's what's necessary. And Agoji Entertainment and Fitness is another one that we use to implement our play curriculum, which is a local MMA gym where we get in there and get workouts in, learn the arts of jiu-jitsu, boxing, all while learning restraint, mental toughness, physical fitness, and really being able to get those negative emotions out in a controlled environment.
We're running real short on time,
Okay,
Aaron.
sorry. So we really like to focus on evidence-based practices, so we focus on positive youth development principles. The 4 impact areas that we like to focus on is safety, belonging, empowerment, and generosity and justice. The play model that I've mentioned before is our behavior intervention program for youth and adults, where we are able to engage them in high intense activities and help them regulate through those and coach them through those moments so we can try to improve behaviors in the schools, the classrooms, and at home. So these are some of the models that we use, which falls in line with the SAMHSA 6 concepts of trauma-informed approach.
I promise we had this down to 17 minutes. Program fiscal management, you can see the layout. We have a controller. The controller works with the payroll specialist and accounting assistant. All the checks and balances are in place to make sure that the roles are separated, that people are managing one another, and that the finances are being monitored by both the board, the CEO, and the team of our fiscal management team on site. I'm sorry, I feel like I got to rush through some of this stuff, but program leadership, then they come back to us, we talk through it, and we reconcile everything on a monthly basis to make sure that the money is being spent the way it's supposed to be spent, and that we are upholding our due diligence to the grant and providing the young people the experiences they deserve. Internally, some of the program monitoring, we meet multiple times a week in real time to make sure that the young people are getting what they need, that we address any specific issues make sure that what we've provided them is still relevant in that moment. Externally, we work with MMPS and we work with juvenile court. We share information back and forth so that we're all moving forward as a team and supporting them based on the same goals, objectives, and interventions. The more people that we can put around them, wrap our arms around, they see us loving on them, caring for them, we feel like the better they will respond. It's not just groups of random people trying to do things for them. We do quarterly scorecards at work, so we're, again, in real time, making sure we meet our outcomes and objectives. My favorite part of the data we collect is feedback from the young people. They are experiencing, they need to have voice in how things work and how they don't, and so we incorporate that, and we've got 1 minute left. Aaron, take it away.
Okay, so one way we get the youth's voice is through pre and post surveys where they are completed in the beginning and at the end so we can see what they actually learned from the program. We do case logs to capture the service provided and the record outcomes so we can capture and really get an idea on if we're making progress towards our goals and if the youth are benefiting from the services we're providing. We use comprehensive enrollment forms, which captures the demographic, the history, so that we can see who we're serving and who is our target areas that we're trying to reach. And our Salesforce is our electronic database where we are able to capture everything, pull reports so we can see how we're doing in real time.
Here's our program evaluation feedback loop. Take a look at it. Activities. The indicators is what are the activities working, immediate outcomes from the activities, and then we're always looking down the road to make sure that the outcomes we had hoped would occur are occurring, and then we start right back at the beginning, and you got to see a picture of this guy because program sustainability, Oasis Center is 100% committed to making sure that the real program exists forever and ever, and there's the paragraphs to prove it.
Perfect.
Good job.
Sorry. We're both talkers and.
Yeah.
Now we got 5 minutes for Q&A.
Cool.
Quick question. For the measurements I see you have here, the minimum outcomes that you hope to achieve, what are the real numbers from last year?
The real numbers
yeah,
for
the real
last
numbers
year,
for last year.
I thought you might ask. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys directly from the report so you could see exactly. But I will say them out loud while I'm working on it. So we had 53 of 60 participants have no adjudicated charges as reported by juvenile court at the 3-month post-program exit. We had 76%, 44 of 58 youth who completed our pre-post surveys feeling more connected to their community. And we had 74% of our young people, 42 of 58 who completed the pre-post, feeling better about themselves and about their futures. Does that answer your question? Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I had a whole visual plan. I
know,
can't
you're
make it
good.
happen. Maybe I can.
How are you measuring feelings?
Through our
Pre and
pre-post
post
surveys. So we, at the beginning, have a series of 30-plus questions that they are asked about how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their community, how they feel about their perceptions of them in the community. And then at the program exit, they do a post survey, and they answer those same questions, and that shows us their growth.
And you track them how far out after they leave?
So we are working, our long-term, so when we're at the school level, let's say Johnson Alternative, when they go back to their zone schools, we stay in contact with them. If they happen to do extra time at Johnson than they originally were allotted, they can continue to participate in our programs, and we create space for those that have already completed the initial 8 weeks. So we can remain in contact up until the entire school year. For our community-based, as they exit, they'll move into our partner organization, Cafe Momentum, who you will hear from soon. And through juvenile court and through the efforts of Aaron and Kayla, continuous check-ins, post-program exit, and as long as they will respond, we keep reaching out. So that is met with obvious, not perfect results, but as long as they're willing to engage, we're still going to look for them. And we utilize our community partners, MMPS and juvenile court, to actually track them and see if they're still actively engaged and doing good things.
That's a number you keep somewhere?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'd
So
like to kind of know that.
yeah.
I have a follow-up questions. One, the data gathering forms that you use, are those research-based, or are they standardized so that it can be compared to other similar youth-serving organizations? And secondly, what model DEI training are you all using? Is it one that's nationally based, research-based? And what have the results, I mean, how do you determine that it works?
Well, that's very good questions. So the DEI question first, we have a director.
Okay.
And I'm honestly not 100% sure what the training modules or curriculum they're using to train her.
Okay.
But I do know that we are actively working to become identified as an anti-racist institution. And so there is a set of standards and stuff that we must meet to achieve that. And our capturing our data forms, we use them internally. All of our programs, they're standardized across all of our programs. And they're based on the standards of YPQA.
Okay.
Evidence-based research. We've taken those standards and created one that we can use across all of our programs and standardize it that way internally.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a question. If you could request or could receive an amount over your maximum that you have requested, what amount would that be and how would you use it?
I would say $50,000, maybe 60 to cover all the benefits. We need more amazing people like Aaron and Kayla doing this work. We need more boots on the ground. We need more personalities and humans to be engaged in the work. They do a great job connecting to our young people, but you hope to have a variety of folks that can connect to the variety of young people that we are working with. Humans on the ground doing the work all day, every day.
Another question, on the individuals that, I mean, the 88% of who stayed out of juvenile detention or reoffended, that's a great number. Those 7 who did go back or picked up another charge, what was the plan if they committed a crime but they were staying in detention? What is the plan if an individual from your program?
Well, we work with Shellis and our folks at juvenile court to make sure that however their trajectory ends up or when they're ready to re-engage, we are first in line to welcome them into our services again. We've had young people that have recommitted and then come back and done the program multiple times.
Gotcha.
Aaron and Kayla go to court. When they're there, they follow the young people. They're there to support and give honest feedback to the judge and everyone involved as to the growth and development of the young people we work with. And so we are fully engaged in that whole process.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, they do. Sometimes we won't ever see them again because of the severity of the crime.
Yeah.
But we do remain connected to family. We check in with the family in those instances because they need support too.
Absolutely.
But it's an open door. We don't ever turn anyone away.
We got about time.
All right.
All right, man.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for your time.
For your presentation.
Thank you.
Continue the work.
Thank you very much.
Panelists, our second presenters today is going to represent STARS. I want to reach out to the team members from STARS, remind them that each presentation will be 15 minutes. After your 15-minute presentation, there will be a 5-minute question and answer session immediately following. Thank you again for coming, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandy Schmull. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at STARS.
And my name is James Bush. I am the Treatment Director at Youth Overcoming Drug Abuse, the division of STARS. So we're getting into our specific ask. We're looking and requesting $27,600. Now, what does that cover? That covers a second master's level counselor who is able to help us disseminate gender or exclusive or inclusive services to our clients. How do we know that, when you have a bunch of guys and young ladies in a room that are trying to work through adolescent services it doesn't tend to work that well because sometimes those teenagers are hitting on one another, right? So we got to kind of do a little something about that. So what that second therapist does is sometimes they're able to separate those clientele one from another so that they can deliver those individualized services. Also, too, we have light snacks and refreshments for participants who come straight from school for a 3-hour session. So over the years, what we found is that a lot of our clients, some of them are suffering from ADHD, and they take medications such as Adderall or Vyvanse or things along those lines. Well, we know with that happening, sometimes their eating schedules are thrown off. So after they get off school, they get to client services where we have at about 3 to 6 p.m. and 3:30 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon. They're a little hungry. How many people have been in a room with hungry children? Nothing you say is going to land. So what we do is, from a evidence-based protocol, which you'll see in a few minutes, adolescent community reinforcement approach, what they say is providing light snacks to young men and women, gets the glucose running, makes them more receptive for services. Make sense? All right. So how the program promotes equity in the community? Well, we have a proven history of equity and access to care, but I want to highlight that each year, what we do is we undergo training, whether it's in evidence-based protocols, mental health services, multiculturalism. These are the things that we utilize to help meet each client where they are at. It's so important that we speak their language, and it's not that we are speaking high level and speaking down to them, but we are finding which ways to deliver the services that will help impact the community. So that's through disseminating services on one portion, that's through access and resources to another hand. But so important, so needed. Next slide. So program partners. We have partnerships with Davidson County Juvenile Criminal Court, Robeson County Alternative Learning Center, DCS, at GIRL, Williamson County Juvenile Criminal Court System, also the Sexual Assault Center. And one of the things we recognize is that while doing this work, it's amazing because, I'm going to slow down for a little bit. The Teen Addiction Severity Index, which has specific questions on it. And a lot of times they're asking questions in relation to, okay, have you been sexually assaulted? Have you been physically assaulted? Well, a lot of times kids, they're reluctant to tell you that information, but it's needed. And so when you have multiple challenges that are going on with young men and women or so like that, we see the need for other extensive services, which would maybe the Sexual Assault Center, having maybe once a month or once a quarter someone come from their agency to our program and give them what is sexual assault, because a lot of kids don't know that, and that is just definitely something that's beneficial. So the program overview, 20 sessions. We don't try to make it long and drawn out. 20 sessions, serving 13 to 18-year-olds who are suffering from substance abuse of some form or co-occurring disorders. It's 4 days a week, 3 hours per day, and all-inclusive, gender-responsive treatment. That's what we try to do. Again, we try to meet our clientele where they are at. Now, do many of our clients actually get through those 20 sessions back to back? No. Doesn't work like that. Sometimes they take breaks. Sometimes they're in the wind. But what we do is we are not punitive. As in, if you miss a session, you miss a 2 session or anything like that, that's when we get on the phone call. That's when we call the probation officer. That's when we call the caseworkers. That's when we call the family. So that we can make sure that they have the support that they need to go and finish the process. And we have found that to be greatly successful. It's showing that people don't care what you know, they want to know that you care. So program evidence-based practices. We have the Hazelden Matrix Model, evidence-based. Hazelden Adolescent Co-occurring Disorders, that's evidence-based. Adolescent Community Reinforcement Approach, evidence-based as well. Cognitive behavioral therapy, change the thought, change the action. These are the things that we look to do to kind of help our clientele get through the various challenges that they find within their own situations. So.
All right, and as far as our physical management and oversight, we have a top-notch team of finance, a top-notch finance team that provides that oversight. They're constantly looking at both internal and external policies and procedures. We follow those. We've received clean uniform guidance audits for the past 3 years, as well as our Metro Finance audit. So we are constantly evaluating our processes, our policies, procedures to make sure that we are that they are aligned with the most current policies and procedures, and that we are following those to the.
Program monitoring. So we utilize audits, progress notes, patient response conduct within 6 months through on-site interviews using the Addiction Severity Index or telephone interview. A lot of times what happens is when our clientele, when they graduate, they're in the wind. Can't find them. But sometimes their phone numbers, they still do work. So we are able to go and create those interviews and those audits through that form of that method. We also have satisfaction surveys, in the service treatment, and we have that information as well too. Talking about group interventions, feeling safety outside the program. Sometimes, how clean is the area that they are receiving treatment in? Those are some of the questions that we ask. Is it a welcoming environment? And we've got that from, I believe it was a question through the Compass EZ 2.0. So, data collection. Individuals are assessed using the TASI, Teen Addiction Severity Index. Evaluation tool, identifies a snapshot of an individual process that they have going on right now. It's 8 domains. It covers criminal history, school, jobs, peers, family, legal, as well as psychiatric history. Upon the completion of the program, all clients, again, have a completion certificate, satisfaction survey, Socrates 8D, discharge teen addiction severity index, discharge summary aftercare plan. So that potentially means that they could be referred to other services that are needed, if need possible. So the evaluation portion. Clients are evaluated during the intake and discharged with, again, the Teen Addiction Severity Index. What that does is we're looking to show that there's a difference or there has been a change within that time period. Remember, a lot of the kids, they don't pass it in the 20 sessions. The 20 sessions will end out to maybe a month or 2 months or so, but we're looking to see that there has been some change. And that change can be them going to school consistently. That change can be them actually participating in after-school programs. That change can be something of them being more receptive and being more communicative with their primary guardians, their parental figures, et cetera, et cetera. That change could be that they have not incurred any additional charges while they have been in our care. So the program outcomes. 65% of youth who complete the program will show a reduction in their rate of reoffense. Juvenile court, 7% of youth who complete the program will have increased connection to people, places, and experiences that support healthy development. And 70% of the youth who complete the program will show an increase in cognitive skills and knowledge related to healthy alternatives. So basically what we do is we give them an open book test. We give them the answers. We give them the blueprint. We give them the strategies to help them get into different services. We're housed in the same building with the Oasis Center, so they have resources up there. I mean, Burger King is right across the street, and God knows how many clients we've had that have worked at Burger King. And so that is something that we're very proud of as well, too.
Program sustainability. So due to the diversity of our funding sources, we feel that we have a unique opportunity to be able to strategize and sustain our program long term. We have a long-term partnership with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for our intensive outpatient treatment services. So we receive significant funding from them to help support the program. So it's not, our funding is not made up by one funding stream through the CPF funding. We also, as James said, have partnerships with other, private funders as well through our development team's philanthropic annual giving campaigns. We are also diligent to ensure that our agency maintains a healthy balance and of unrestricted cash on hand. So we're constantly evaluating that throughout the year to make sure that we're not going over budget, and that is all conducted by our finance team. So like I said, we feel like we have, a very diversified program structure, and funding that makes up the program support so that we are able to sustain the program for many years to come. And we've been able to offer services to adolescents. I mean, I think Yoda was previously a part of the Alcohol and Drug Council prior to, we were just talking about that 2011, and then that's when we, STARS, adopted the program, and then we transitioned to adolescent treatment services. And we've been operating this program since then under STARS umbrella.
So highlights, 2022, 2023, we provided outpatient services and treatment to 43 clients. 80% of them had increased scholastic activity, pro-social behaviors, and behavior regulation, drug refusal skills. Again, open book test. 85% of participants reported increased knowledge related to the dangers of alcohol and drug use. 21 clients graduated from the program, which is higher than the national average, which would be at maybe 20%, 25%. Clients say about after receiving YODA services. Remember, we give them a survey at the completion of services. 90% completed, reported they were better, are able to control their life. 92% are better able to deal with crisis and situations that used to be a problem. 100% proved that they were able to get along with it better with their family. I mean, if they are with us for 3 hours, then I guess they would be able to do that, wouldn't they? 85% reported that they have a better understanding of their addiction. 92% clients reported that they made progress toward their goals. What did the parents say? 100% said that YODA staff showed concern for their child and family. 100% reported that the YODA staff was helpful. Definitely when their children go missing, we bug them, we call them. We call all people that are on that little sheet.
And I will mention that one thing that we didn't mention when we were talking about the evaluation, because we predominantly use the progress notes in our client satisfaction data to measure progress, as we mentioned in our application and the presentation, but we also survey the parents, because essentially what we want to make sure is that we are providing services that meet the needs of the community, the young people that we're serving, as well as the families. So we want to know, what are you seeing your kids deal with? Like, how can we better support you as a family? Can we help you get services to help you be successful? Because what we see a lot of times is our parents are also experiencing alcohol and drug use. And it's important that they also know the resources that are available in the community, and our counselors are phenomenal at making those connections as well. So our time is up, so we will open it for questions.
If you could request, what amount, if you could request an additional funds, what amount would that be, and how would you use it?
That's a great question. So, I mean, I think what I will say is that we'll take whatever amount you're willing to give us. I'm sure that's what you'll hear consistently through the day. No nonprofit's going to turn down funding. And what we'll do is continue to serve as many kids as possible. Our services and the request for services has grown. I'm sure that you guys watch the news, so you've seen that we're currently in a pretty significant epidemic with opioid use across our community, across the country. And we are constantly seeing kids that are in active use, using those substances, which requires even more in-depth support. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of residential treatment facilities for adolescents here in this community, or really any surrounding community. So a lot of times, those young people who need residential supports are coming to YODA for services because we're available and we're free of charge, and we meet them where they are. We provide the services that they need, and like James said, we are not punitive. We support them, and it may take 3 months or 4 months for them to get through the program, but our counselors are there checking in on them every day.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There are cultural implications when you're treating different groups of people. So what training does your staff receive that supports cultural equity for substance abuse?
Well, one of the things that we do, we utilize trainings of alliance, multiculturalism.
Okay.
Those are some of the things, the tenets that have to be satisfied. Title VI, talking about, those are the things that have to be done on an annual basis that we keep alliance. So we're very passionate about that. She gets on me about that all the time, about getting it done for the end of July.
Okay.
So those are some of the things. Also, along with that, you have the evidence-based training, treatment protocols that you have.
Okay.
With gender-specific or as far as, man, client-specific, community-based,
Okay.
males, females, and things along those lines. The thing is that we want to make sure that we provide the most state-of-the-art, up-to-date care for our clientele. Now, granted, sometimes when we look at that, it's just like, well, where was the study being done when, they were looking at our population. But between all the different trainings, protocols, and experience that counselor had, we are able to deliver the best services to this population.
Thank you.
So, community impact. Give me, out of that 21%, you don't have to say names, but give me one success story.
I'll give you a success story. So there was a time about maybe 6 years ago. We operate from the Route 36 Keith County. So a young man, he was involved with juvenile criminal court services, involved with drug court. Unfortunately, on this day, you may not see this as a success, but I do. He was running late. Because he was running late, he stole a car at a fairgrounds. Came to treatment. He had been working with us for about 16 sessions, 17 sessions, but he wanted to come because he felt like he was in a safe environment. He felt like he was in an area of where people were willing to listen to him. Now, granted, the fact is, when we found out about him, we had our conversation, we had our talk. We weren't punitive, but he was successfully able to pass and graduate drug court, as an adolescent. And he has not since gotten in any trouble along those lines. Again, we don't care what you know, we want to know that you care. And we were able to provide those services and that stability in his life, but potentially he wasn't able to see that before. He's gone on, he's gotten a job, he's been able to graduate high school, and those are the things that we're looking for, because sometimes the line or the barometer is set very low for our clientele. But the fact is that we are encouraging them to do the best they can at all different stages. And we feel passionate about that.
Last question, I know we're up for time, but just one more.
It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah. If you can squeeze in real quickly, what was the real numbers for I know you said 65% of youth who completed the program showed reduction in the rate of reoffenses. What's the number last year? And then what is the wish list or the need you feel to increase that number? What, do you need to increase that number from 65, let's just say, to 80%?
Well, and let's see where we were, because that's just our goal. 65% is our goal, and we, let's see if we have where we were last year. I don't know that I included that. How many do we recall how many reoffenses we had last year for the number of young people that graduated? So essentially, our goal is to always exceed our projected outcomes.
Gotcha.
As James mentioned, some of the challenges is our young people are in active addiction, and they are, our goal is to get them meet them where they are and encourage them to be active participants. Sometimes they're not always coming willingly.
Right.
So that's always a huge situation. A lot of times, as I mentioned earlier, that our young people are living in homes where their families are in active addiction as well, which is also a challenging situation. So our goal is to help the families receive that extra treatment and services to help them make some shifts, but as well as their peer groups. A lot of times, I'm sure that you guys, I know some of you work in a school system, so you're aware that, the kids focus a lot on their peer groups as like support systems. So, peer pressure is very real, and a lot of times, unless they can see the importance of shifting that peer group and finding new responsible peers. So I would say all of those things are going to play into that community factor of increasing our ability to encourage our young people to be more successful in that area and to reduce the reoffenses. But as James said, like 65% is actually better than, what we see in a lot of other communities as far as recidivism.
Okay. So what is the national average?
Do you know the national?
I do not know the national average of recidivism for adolescents. No, I don't. But what I want to do is I want to add the fact that a lot of the clientele that come to our program, they probably should be in residential treatment. They should be in a level 3 facility.
Gotcha.
That is not punitive. But the fact is that what do we know? We are an adolescent IOP 2.1 facility. And so some treatment is better than no treatment at all. extra money, extra funding sources will be given to working with that population, creating different services, creating better trainings, grabbing individuals within the community that can help impact those clients at different stages and different portions. I hear you, man. I see you, man. I see you, man. Going like that. So that's what we're looking to do as far as well. Thank you.
Appreciate the time. I'm good.
Thank you.
All right, we're ready for our final presentation for the day. Next up will be the team from Cafe Momentum. I just want to let you guys know that your presentation will be limited to 15 minutes, and after the 15 minutes, we will have a 5-minute question and answer session. I ask that you introduce your organization and your team members to the panel, and after that, the floor is yours, okay? All right, thank you.
I guess I should stand over here. Hi, everyone. My name is Terry Sloan, and I'm the Senior Director of Development and Operations for Cafe Momentum. Here with us today, we have Kendall Ford, our Program Manager, Marcus Rhodes, our Culinary Director, and our newest team member, our Success Navigator, Evie. How do I say your last name? Lombatis. I was going to pronounce it incorrectly. So we are here to tell you guys a little bit today about what we are doing here at Cafe Momentum. So just a little bit about kind of the background on our work, and then I will pass it over to Kendall to tell you a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of our program. We really exist to support justice-impacted youth through culinary workforce development surrounded by an ecosystem of support. We really look a lot, here's just a little kind of background, stats and research that inform our work, but I don't think it's news to anyone that's in here that, involvement with the juvenile justice system leads to dramatically higher risk of adult incarceration and kind of greater negative outcomes across the spectrum. And so we're really taking approaches that research say are most likely to combat these negative effects of justice involvement. And so we'll tell you a little bit more about what the program looks like and the evidence that is informing the practices.
Okie dokie. So what we have here is basically our model of how we introduce our young people. So the first stage is a trainee. So that is our mandatory at least 8-week program that we have. So this is our training where our young people are paid just to come and learn with us. So that is our first step. So we normally have about 50 plus hours depending on if it's during the school year or the summertime. Normally during the summertime we have more hours with them. But we make sure that we're focusing on that social emotional learning, that life skills part, which is the part that I actually instruct. And then we also make sure that they have some type of food handler certification at the end of that 8 weeks. So once they are promoted, we try not to say graduation. That sounds a little bit like school. So we try to say promoted because this is a job, workforce development. So after they are promoted, they are able to do different catering events around Nashville with us, and they are paid $15 an hour. So this first stage with intern, they take those different skills that they learned from that first 8 weeks and they apply it. So as an intern, they will strictly be doing our prep and everything for our different events. And as they move on, they get promoted again to an apprentice. So these are individuals that help us prep and also execute our our catering events. They are paid $18 an hour. So these are our young people that we weigh heavily on. They are active in our program in catering. They are front of the house and back of the house. Versus just our interns, they're mainly back of the house with their prep. And then for our last one is the employee part. So those individuals are promoted again, and they are considered officially our employee. So this either, hey, you can be an employee with us, or we connect you with some type of employer in the community. So that means, hey, you're getting paid $20 by us to come do catering, but also you can get money at your other job if you decide to have another job. Ooh, sorry. Did I go too fast?
Did you want to talk about the success now?
Okay. Yes. And so along these pathways that we have, that's why we have a new employee that we call our Success Navigator. So it's more than just case management for us. We want to make sure that we're navigating our young people along that success. So that success may be, hey, I want to be a chef. So that's something we make sure that we have those different resources, those different training elements for you to become a chef. Or say, hey, I don't want to. Maybe I'm interested in gardening. We make sure that we find something in the community that connects you with something that you would like to do, and so that you're able to be successful. So regardless of what path you go down, we want to make sure that you're successful. So that is the role of our success navigator. So how our program promotes equality. So we make sure that we target our minority young people, so those black and brown kids in our community. It's not exclusive to those young people, but we know that those are the young people that are at risk. Even just in the zip code that we work out of Magruder, those are the highest incarcerated young people that we have. So we make sure that we want to target those young people. So 80% of our young people are people of color. We make sure that we seek out and try to eliminate those different barriers that they may have. So we call our program a second chance program. So yes, it may be mandatory for our young people to come because it may be probationary, but we make sure that even though it's mandatory, that you're getting something out of this mandatory thing. So we're trying to change their view on how they look at our program, as far as, hey, you know, I am in trouble and I'm getting in this program, but also I get to make money and learn a new skill. So making sure that we're opening up new doors for people, for those black and brown young people. So these are just a few of the program partners that we do have that we partner with as far as referrals. We are actually out of the Magruder Resource Center, so that is where we have our training program and our kitchen. So the Resource Center allows us a training room, and they allow us to utilize their full kitchen. So they are an awesome partner for us. They also, anytime there's any type of resource fairs or anything, they always incorporate us, so that does help with our recruitment. Another big partner is Youth Advocate Program. They help us a lot with the barrier when it comes to transportation, because a lot of our young people don't have that transportation. So Youth Advocate Program, they make sure that they're picking up our young people, dropping them off, and eliminating that big barrier that we have when it comes to transportation. Because we know that a lot of our young people don't drive because they're either too young, or they just don't have the means to do that, or their family may not have the means to do that. So we make sure that we partner with different resources around the community that can help us do those things that maybe we can't do. So hey, we can't provide that transportation. We do those life skills and those culinary skills. So we want to make sure that we have a partner that can help us eliminate some of those problems, sorry.
So we really try to take a very evidence-based approach to our work. And the main evidence that we're looking at pretty heavily is we as a staff are all trained on ACEs, the CDC Kaiser Permanente ACE study. And through that, we know that justice-involved youth are 4 times more likely to experience 4 or more ACEs. And so we really try to tailor our program to cater to the needs of a trauma-impacted young person. We also look a lot at the protective factors that are outlined in that study, which includes the presence of caring adults, social emotional learning, economic supports for families, and so you'll see where our program very intentionally incorporates those all throughout the way. Another big study that we look at is positive youth development, which is an evidence-informed kind of training program. And it has been found by research to reduce violent behaviors and substance abuse. Our staff is all trained on positive youth development. Our executive director, Rokisha Bryant, used to be a trainer of trainers in positive youth development and travel all over the state training folks on positive youth development. And anytime we have anyone who's going to interact with our team as a volunteer, as a potential employer, we sit down with them and we talk through the principles of positive youth development with them as well. So a few ways that you'll see this kind of in action and in practice in our program is really just the intentionality of combining paid work training and work opportunities alongside that social emotional learning piece. You know, one of the things that we really see in the research, but then also just anecdotally, is that economic barriers are such a huge driver for justice involvement. So many of the young people that we work with got into the situations that they are because of economic crises with themselves or with their families, and they need to make money. And so we are trying to provide them a positive way to make money with positive supports around them. We also very intentionally have chosen the culinary arts as a kind of evidence-informed area of focus for us, and that is specifically because the hospitality industry historically provides great opportunity to those with different backgrounds. It's an industry that you can get in without having a college degree or different things like that. And then it's also an industry that provides a lot of growth potential and economic mobility no matter the background. So that's specifically why we have chosen this industry in particular as the pathway. We also know that not every young person who comes into our program is interested in working in a kitchen or as a server. And so we also know that the skills that we're learning, especially on the social emotional learning side, are transferable to many other career paths. So we really work through our individualized success navigation to help each young person identify what their own desired path is and then get them there. Just a little bit about our fiscal management. We utilize GAAP-based accounting. Any times that we have grants that have specifically government grants that are restricted, we allocate the grants in our QuickBooks system to make sure that we are adequately tracking the way that those funds are spent. Grant administration and reporting is managed by me with some support from our business manager who handles all bookkeeping. We also contract with a local accounting firm to review our financial statements and procedures at least annually through a formal review or audit as needed. Program monitoring.
That is me. So basically what we look at is for our output measurements, so number of youth we enroll, so the number that we are promoting and that start our initial program. We're looking at how much we're paying our youth annually, and then also those work hours that we're trying to make sure that we create for them. So hey, we're going to say, hey, we're your employees, so we want to give you that work and those opportunities to actually be able to do those different things. And so the things that we measure, so we look at the changes in our young person's attitude and confidence level. So that is my part. So I teach life skills. So we're making sure that we're looking at your attitude, how you communicate, your personal responsibilities, and then your customer service. So we look at those different things as, hey, we've taught you these different things about how to handle your attitude, how to handle feedback, whether that's at work or in the kitchen. So how are you applying those different things that we've been going over with you? So any life-changing things, we make sure that we do a life skills and a self-efficacy score assessment. So, hey, what kind of things can you do before you get here with us? And then we also do that at the end. So what kind of things do you feel more confident in doing for yourself? And then making sure we maintain consistent employment. So making sure that we're getting those catering events for you and making sure that we're putting out those different meals for you so you have something to do and have some type of work with us at least once or twice a month. And how we collect that data, I make sure that I give these specific assessments at the beginning and the end with our young people. So just like I said, this is saying, hey, what type of life skills do you already have? What things do we need to be working on? Because in those first 8 weeks, we're collecting information on our young people. So, hey, what kind of things have we noticed? What kind of needs do you need? And then once they are promoted, that's when we are actually, we're able to get into those different things that they may need. So I make sure that I do these different things. Also, reports from parents and probation officers. We have a really good rapport with our probation officers. Sometimes they even make sure that they individually say, hey, I want this young person that is on my caseload to go to Cafe Momentum. And they're very good as far as communicating with us if we have any issues, which we haven't had any issues with our young people. So just making sure that, hey, we are in contact with your PO, but hey, this is not a probationary program. So making sure that, hey, we create that level of balance with our young people and our probation officers. So I make sure that I also do a self-esteem assessment. So how are you feeling about yourself? Because we noticed that some of our young people, when they first get there, they can't try or they don't want to try, and it's because, hey, I may not be confident in what I'm doing. So how are you feeling about yourself?
And we're really using this kind of ongoing program evaluation and assessments, satisfaction surveys to kind of continuously improve and change our program. For example, at one point we saw better outcomes from young people who were with us more, so we increased the hours of our program. We also have started to see that young people who are working in the catering work opportunity stay in the program longer, who have more consistent work, so we're building out our catering operation to provide more consistent work. So we're also in constant feedback loops with the partners that we're working with, the referral partners and partners who are providing additional services to really continue to inform the work and improve
also
it.
talking to our young people, asking them, hey, what did you like? What didn't you like? What do you want more of? So we can continue to adapt with our young people.
And then we made it to the last side, program sustainability. So our financial model is that we combine earned revenue from catering and events and food product sales with philanthropic support. We are a still new organization. We'll hit our 3rd birthday this July. But we've gotten a lot of strong early support. 2022, we had our first full year of operation. We had our strongest financial year. We had a lot of seed money that came from some national supporters. In 2023, though, we really started our focus and building up relationships with the local funding community. So you can see a little bit there. And then in 2024, we're on track to exceed our 2023 goals, and we are building out a financially sustainable program. We made it.
All right, enter into your question and answer phase.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, I'm familiar with ACEs. Do you all actually let the youth complete an ACE survey, and do you also let the parents complete one?
So we've been in discussion about that. I have a background in social work, and Rokisha has a background. So we are aware of what ACEs is and how to incorporate ACEs without having to necessarily take the ACEs. But we have been discussing if we did want to give that actual assessment to our young people. But we just haven't just yet. But we do look at those different things, and just like I said, in the 8 weeks, we make sure that we're collecting the information, looking at those different things that you may have problems with, or just my background in therapy, I'm able to kind of see different things that maybe other employees can't see.
I like the fact that you are using research-based, standardized data collections.
Yes, ma'am.
Data collection assessments. Regarding equity training, what model are you all using? And is it just for the paid employees through the catering service, or is it for the young people who are participating, or both?
I feel like it's for both. So we make sure that on a staff level that we are prepared and able to work with our young people before we do anything. So any partner or any employee that we have, we have a small team. We make sure that Rokisha has put us through just individual training to make sure that we are able to work with these young people, and we're trained to be able to do those things.
And then I would say one of the things that the program team is really doing, as my kind of observation from the outside, is really adapting the program model to each individual group of young people. Yes. And so they're really adapting the curriculum materials to be kind of culturally relevant for each individual class, but then also adapting it for, different literacy levels, different learning styles. It really changes from cohort to cohort to try and meet each individual cohort and each individual young person where they are.
Yes, making sure that we utilize all the multiple intelligence. So, hey, some of our young people work better with music, so we may put music on, especially with our food handler certification. So I've created a PowerPoint, I've created Jeopardy, I've created songs, I've created all different type of learning styles, and then I make sure that anytime we're doing something that has to be read, I always read it. So it doesn't matter how fast our young people are going, I always make sure that I go through every question and read it. So that means nobody feels, pointed out because they don't know, or, I've seen young people that get frustrated when other people are going a little bit faster. So just me being aware and making sure that I have my awareness cap on, and I watch different things like that.
And speaking from the culinary side of it, that's also something that I pay attention to when having the kids, whether it's on the catering side of it or having them in the classroom. I may have some kids that have cooked with mom or grandma and know a little bit and have some knife skills. I'll have kids sometimes that don't know what a sweet potato is, and so I kind of adapt the culinary plans and even the prep work, the execution, I adapt that around the kids. And so some of the kids that may have a different developmental level, I may have them like washing this lettuce and doing the salad part of it and not giving them the pressure of like, let me show you how to confit your duck. Let me show you how to break down a tenderloin. And so we adapt that on the culinary side of it as well.
Progressive stages.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when we go through our different stages, it's all milestone based. So hey, just because you are on our prepping team, we want to see what you're going to do on that prepping team until you get stronger. So we know, hey, you can prep and execute for us. So it's all milestone based. So we make sure that we give them enough opportunities to see what they can do. And, because if we don't give you the opportunities, I don't know if your knife skills have improved. I don't know if your attitude has improved. Are you responding well with Chef Marcus when he's giving you feedback in the kitchen? So, those are kind of mal-based things that we just make sure that we're aware of and we keep track of those things.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
How many cohorts do you do a year? And if you have that number, how many are actually employed?
Okay.
As the outcome.
So we try to do at least 4 cohorts a year. So spring, summer, fall, winter. So we try to at least reach 45 youth.
Yes.
At least 45 youth. And what that means, hey, we may have about 15 youth that are just consistently working with us that have worked through those different pathways or different cohorts. Okay. And then throughout the year, we try to at least have at least 40 young people that go through that 8-week training part. Because that's the second part is optional. So, hey, you can come with us to that second part to continue to do those catering events. Or you can say, hey, I got my training, I got my food handler certification, I'm able to do these things, and now I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since just this trainee portion, that's the only time-based portion, and that's the portion that is mandatory required. Everyone who comes through our program does that piece. And then after that, it becomes milestone-based. So some of the young people move through it all very quickly. Maybe they're ready for employment with us or outside employment within 6 months. Others maybe have been working in our program for close to 2 years and still aren't ready for that. And we really try to, that's what, when Kendall says that those pieces are milestone-based, those pieces really are tailored to the individual needs, strengths, skills of each young person.
So a
and how
person,
quickly
so a
they
person,
move through
sorry
that.
about.
No, of course.
So a person that has been with you for 2 years, they could potentially be a Cafe Momentum employee.
Yes,
Okay. So there's no time limit where they got to.
correct.
Yeah, so it's all based on them because we know the different barriers that you may have. Like, hey, you may have gotten in trouble, so you may not be able to work with us for a while. So yes, you are still an employee, but hey, you didn't get as many opportunities because, you were away for a while. So we may have to bring you back in the fold. Hey, we have this enrichment for you that we're going over resume skills. Hey, I want you to attend that. And then, hey, we have this prep event. I want you to help prep for it. So we can kind of bring them back into the fold because we do have young people that, hey, they're rock stars, they're very, into it, and then all of a sudden they may fall off. So, that is, my job and Evie's job to kind of see, hey, what's going on? Are you just not interested in, cooking anymore, or did some other things happen for you?
The last question is, if you could request, what would if you could request an increased amount, what would that amount be and how would you use it?
I'm like,
So we asked for up to 40,000, and which I feel like was a generous request. I think we're still a young organization that's still very much in the building phase. So I would always say, as much as you'd want to give us, up, high. We really are kind of building the foundation of this group. The team that you see here, other than our executive director who's out on vacation, is our full team. This is the staff. So, any increased support that we receive goes into really kind of building our organizational capacity for serving these young people. And for us, I think something that's really significant is you've heard our model is very kind of tailored to the unique needs and adaptive to each group of young people. So for us, I don't envision that growth and development looks like swaths of more young people. It really looks like even deeper services, even more intentional services, and really kind of trying to make sure that we're providing as as individualized and as holistic support for each young person.
Being
that we
more
can.
transformative versus transactional.
Yes.
Rokisha uses it a lot with us.
Yeah.
So making sure that what we're doing is not something like, hey, you did this, you got a certificate. But what did you actually get from our program? So what's one thing that you can take from here that you go somewhere else? If that means, hey, I know how to express my emotions a little bit better. I may never be a chef or may never be interested in cooking, but I know that I'm able to regulate my own emotions.
Yeah.
Thank
Can we get one more in?
No, we want to be equitable. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Well, we would like to thank you, panelists. Thank you for your time and your effort into making these presentations hit home. Again, we want to thank the providers, Oasis Center, STARS, and Cafe Momentum for their presentations. And again, on behalf of Juvenile Court, we'd like to thank each and every last one of you for participating in this process. Everyone have a good day.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.